Hi, everybody. Steve Paikin here. We are going to have a very difficult conversation today with someone who has tragically had firsthand experience with intimate partner violence. Cait Alexander thought she was in a dream relationship. Her partner was charming. He had a wonderful young child that Cait was bonding with, and everything seemed great until Prince Charming began to beat her, almost killing her in the process. The man was charged with offenses that were serious enough to put him behind bars for a decade, but then adding insult to injury, he skated. The justice system failed Cait and turned her from a victim into a woman on a mission, never to let this happen to anyone else. Cait Alexander, one-on-one, coming right up on the Paikin Podcast. Cait, the first question is not going to be complicated, but I really want to know, how are you?
You know what? You have been one of the only reporters that I've ever spoken to, and I remember this distinctly after our interview in April, virtually. The first reporter to actually ask me how I am, genuinely. I'm good. I'm good. So so you get to say that in front of me, and I'm just, yeah, with such sincerity. So thank you.
You haven't always been good.
Whew. Yeah.
Let me, I hesitate to sort of tread this ground because it's very painful for you, but it has motivated the greatest mission of your life. So we are going to talk about this. Do you have any lingering physical effects from what transpired?
Being in Toronto is pretty rough, I'll be honest with you. We're a short 15 or so minutes away from the house where it all happened right now. So it's always, it always feels like a risk coming here. It's always a probability of potentially running into the person who nearly took my life. And it's...
Because he is not in jail anymore.
He's never been to jail. Never had a criminal trial. So it's always interesting is the wrong word. I don't know. It's it's always a challenge, but it's also hopeful now because we've seen a lot of good things come out of something bad. And I have so many amazing friends here.
Do you imagine that you will be dealing with the emotional after effects of the beating you took for the rest of your life?
It will never go away. You can't not remember. But thankfully, I've had incredible somatic and nervous system regulatory therapies like EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. And that has helped lower the temperature in the room effectively on what happened. It's bilateral stimulation therapy of both hemispheres of your brain and mimics REM sleep, and it helps. It's one of the most proven, it's proven to be the most effective for PTSD. And so I've thankfully been able to access that, and it has changed things and made it a lot easier and a lot better.
Okay, again, with apologies, but I think people need to understand what you've been through. Can you tell us what this man did to you? This was your intimate partner. For how long?
7 months. So not very long. And that's what's so dangerous about IPV, intimate partner violence, is it can happen almost overnight. So my ex, who I cannot name because I've never been to trial, it's one of the things that bothers me the most, is I'm not allowed to really publicly say his name because we've never had a criminal trial. He's never been convicted of anything. So it started off as the perfect relationship.
He was Prince Charming for a long time.
As these things always seem to go, because why else would you fall in love with someone? You can't start off hitting people because they probably won't want to be with you. So it started like that. It was COVID, 2021, January-ish, and I moved in with him rather quickly. I was living in Yorkville. He was in Leaside, and COVID times, no one had any friends to hang out with, so you're lonely, right? And it's winter, COVID and winter loneliness, it really gets to you. And so that transpired rather quickly. But on the premise of all things being rosy and all things being good. I mean, my parents thought that we were going to get married. That's how manipulative and crafty he was.
And he had a child from a previous relationship, yes?
Yeah.
Whom you were very close with.
The reason I stayed. And so 5 months go by. It's around May, my birthday. And we have private chef come to the house, whatever, friends come over. And that's when the behavior started to shift immediately. The first time he ever was violent, so at the end of May, we had a bunch of people over, pool party, and he threw a chair over at the neighbor's adjacent property for some unbeknownst reason, just out of the blue. Grabbed a mason jar, shattered it on the pool deck. I started cleaning up because I didn't want the dog to get hurt, and he came in and he kicked me into the glass, which then precipitated a war with his male friends, and they got into a fist fight, and everyone scattered, and that became sort of the first moment of, okay, this is weird behavior, and I hadn't ever really seen something like that before. So I accepted the apology that came after and thought, okay, it won't happen again. He was intoxicated, et cetera, et cetera. Then as a thank you, we went to Quebec to a spa because, again, we're in COVID, so we can't go very far. Everything's under serious regulation. And we went to a spa and came back after the night to go to the hotel, and he again had been intoxicated, but I don't know what made him angry. I was driving the car because I did not want him to drive drunk, and he grabbed my head and smashed it into the driver's side window. And
Right out of the blue.
Out of the blue. He's a big guy. He's 230-ish pounds, 6'2", 6'3". And I froze. I had never been hit like that. I didn't like what it's like a movie, you know, the lights just flash up and you don't know what to do next. And so that solidified it for me, and that, you know, this is dangerous. I remember my nervous system changing almost instantly in that moment of, okay, how do we stay safe? What's the next best thing to do?
And he's obviously not intoxicated at this moment, so you can't blame the booze.
No, it's not a viable excuse, because it only, and I always say this publicly, drugs and alcohol do not cause violence. The behavior pattern exists to begin with. It just amplifies it. And so that began the cycle. That was like mid-June. And by July 31st, I was nearly dead.
How?
I was shooting a Hallmark movie up in Barrie. It was on nights. Came back at Saturday, July 31st morning. And around 8 a.m. and I could just tell that he had been awake all night, and he was calm when I first walked in, and I went to bed because, again, I've been on night shoots. I was exhausted, and I woke up, and for some reason, something had shifted in the house. I don't really know. I don't know what he was upset about. And then I made lunch. I started taking pictures of things. Instinct, not really sure what it is, but I have pictures of like the lunch that I made from that day. And that was around 2:00 in the afternoon. And then by 4:30, 5 o'clock, he was enraged because he could not find his car keys and started to beat me for it. He just, it actually really started. He started just trying to burn my handbags on the stove. So he would lit up the gas and dangled the bags, and I started getting angry at him for that because I was like, don't burn my stuff. And it just started a war. So he eventually got me corralled upstairs in the upper part of the house and beat me nearly to death. It, all 6'3" of him just pummeling my head into the floor, split my head open on a doorwell, got on top of me, gouged my eyes out with his thumbs. Like that was pretty sick. I mean, I'll never forget that. Like just that feeling of, yeah, it was pretty repulsive. And he had taken my phone too, so I didn't have any means to contact anybody, but he went downstairs momentarily. And at 6:09 p.m., I sent a WhatsApp message on my computer. I grabbed a computer, took as many, I don't even know how to get on the photo booth app in present day, but somehow in that moment I knew how to get to that and started taking photos and videos of everything that he was doing. And those are public things that everyone's seen on the news. And yeah, he carried on until about 8:30, 8:45 that night. So I'm very lucky to be here. It's it's sick, but I have it all on video.
Did anybody call the police?
So my friend who I contacted on WhatsApp, I said, please help. The only 2 words I could manage to get out. And I didn't know what was going on. I stopped responding because I'd obviously had to shut the computer at different moments. And then that friend had the wherewithal, direct a friend of mine for like 10 years or something, and had the wherewithal to be like, yeah, this is weird. Cait doesn't ask for help. But, like, I don't really understand what's going on. I don't know where Cait lives. I don't know what to do, but I know her agents. So called my agents, and my agents ended up calling the police eventually.
And what happened to the man who beat you?
He went on the run. And
so police never got him? Not yet.
Not yet. He went out just before the police arrived. I was in and out of consciousness at some point. I had showered, tried to clean up. He started up again. My body can only take so much. And there was, my head was split in 3 different places. So it was just blood everywhere. It was chaos. He went out like a normal psychopath does and walked the dog. Covered in my blood because the dog had to be walked. And that's the moment the police arrived. It was just some weird timing. And then he saw them on the Ring camera and started threatening my life. I still had my computer. I've actually seen the body cam footage of me in the front window. And he said, if you let the police in, I'm going to go kill your family right now. And me, concussed, covered in my own blood after 4 hours of this, I was like, yeah, you probably will. So I have no reason not to believe you. So yeah, you're damn right. I'm not going to let the police in. And they surrounded the house, and I was screaming at them. I mean, I heard one of the female officers on the body cam footage say, like, well, what is she doing? Like, I don't understand. She's barricaded herself in there. We know she's in there. We know she's hurt, but she will not come out. Well, because you've got someone in your ear who literally just almost took your life, and they're threatening to take your family's life. And so what are you trying to do? Protect your family. It's a place of absolute illogical fear, but the rationale in that moment actually adds up and makes sense. So a male police officer, I told him to come around the side door because I knew my ex could hear everything on the Ring camera. So I told the police to come around the side door, and the one male officer actually, locked eyes with me and put his boot in the door and said, I'm not coming in more, but just keep this door open. And then after, they were worried about a hostage situation. So what's happened in previous is the police leave, and the abuser is actually still in the house, and then someone ends up dying because the police don't intervene. So I guess they called the surgeons, and the surgeons said, send the tactical team. So the SWAT team came. They surrounded the house, and again, this illogical, logical, rational, irrational place that you're in when there's such extreme trauma. When the SWAT team came, they're yelling through the microphones, and I can hear it. And they're like, if you don't let us in, like, we're breaking through these doors. We have grounds to do that. We don't know what's going on in there. And I was like, I'm going to get sued. Like that. I was worried about I was like, because after being in such an abusive relationship, you're like, well, if he breaks the door, if they break the door down, the door is going to be broken, and then I'm going to be liable for the door being broken.
Your head goes there.
Yeah. That's literally I don't want him to get mad because the door is going to break. that is really where, like, this is where we're at. And that's when I let them in. And I will never forget that. 7 big dudes with guns and red lights. It's again, another very cinematic moment. And I was terrified. Just terrified. It all got very real. And there was like, I couldn't articulate everything that had happened to me because I didn't like, and this giant wave of male energy. You know, I'd just gotten done being beat by a big guy. Now I've got 7 big guys with guns telling me that I need help. And you petrified. They sent 2 male paramedics in, and I refused medical attention.
Because they were male. So they should have sent some women.
Absolutely. That's something that we're working with Toronto Police and that we're working with the government on helping resolve, because there was actually a female officer who's a survivor as well. She came from a totally different unit, but she heard the call and she's like, this is bad and I should go. But they wouldn't let her in the house.
Because?
Because she wasn't in that unit or from a different division or something, just utterly ridiculous. So I refused medical attention, and because I was conscious, I was able to do that. And they're like, you need to go to the hospital. You are bleeding from your skull. And I'm like, well, he's going to kill my family. So we were, no, I'm not going. And I went and I found him.
How did that immediate situation ultimately resolve itself?
My ex knew he was in trouble. I went down to the house party that he had fled to, covered in bruises. Everyone was like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is weird. Apparently, and I had found this out within the last year after the Toronto Life article was publicized, that my ex had gone to that house, said a whole bunch of incredibly racist things and tried to cut someone open with a razor blade. Yeah. So absolute night of terror. And men at that party had helped lower that level of aggression somehow. And when I arrived there, it was just, I was keeping tabs on him, because in my head, it was like, okay, as long as I know where he is, I know he's not at my mom's house. That's what it is. Very simple. But stupid. Absolutely 100% stupid. But at the time, I'm alive. So whatever it was the right thing to do. God, it's hard not to say his name. I want to protect people, but yeah. So that Sunday morning, he goes on the run, and this is when I realized he's like a real criminal. He knew that if he turned himself in, because he had two houses in Leaside, so they parked at both houses. Cops all night, all day, 24/7 surveillance. You know, ready to get this guy. My ex knew that if he turned himself in on a Sunday, because it was a long weekend in August, he wouldn't get out till Tuesday. That's how much he knows. Like, I don't know. It's not my breadth of knowledge at this current moment, but okay. And so he waited until I think Monday night and then turned himself in, and he was out on bail for $500 the next day.
So he never spent a night in jail? Not even a night in jail?
No. I think he spent the night. I think he turned himself in on the Monday. Yeah, he turned himself in on the Monday, and by the Tuesday he was out in the morning.
How long before you started to feel kind of normal again after taking that much punishment?
The first reasonable moment, I think, was at 9 a.m. that Sunday. So this happened on July 31st, Saturday. This was Sunday, August 1st. I drove myself to Sunnybrook. You know, there's the first moment when I was alone. He was on the run. I went back to the house, saw the scene, and it all just, oh, that's my blood. Oh, my head hurts. Oh, is my nose broken? And I texted him, and even though I had a restraining order, I said, like, am I like, is anything broken? Like, I was asking him, like, that's the psychological, like, I'm asking him if I'm hurt. Like, it's that level of psychological warfare. And I got in my car and I drove myself to the hospital. Just drove to Sunnybrook, parked, and they immediately put me in a private room, and we're like, they CAT scanned my entire body. And
what did they find?
Absolutely nothing. By the grace of God, I don't know how, but nothing was broken. They couldn't stitch up the wounds in my head because it wasn't clean slices. There was one from the doorwell, but nothing clean enough to stitch up. So I kind of had to, I bled out for like 6 months. Had epidermal hematoma. They didn't want to create more pressure in my brain. The police came to the hospital and I just said, I don't know where he is. I knew where he was, but I didn't know how to get out of it. And I went and stayed at a hotel after I got out of the hospital. I went to downtown and stayed at the Ritz and then got my nails done, which was so bizarre. Such a bizarre, but I felt safe there because I was like, at least I know that they'll have to, no one can just enter. I at least can control this environment. And I like that spa. So I went to the spa covered in blood and bruises and I tried to put it back together. And that female officer that they wouldn't let in had given me her personal number off the books. And I am alive for the sake of her advocacy because she said, you take all the photos and videos of you and what he's done to you right now. Get all of this. And I have hundreds of everything that he's done, taken in the bathroom at the hotel. And he was immediately charged when the SWAT team entered the house, but he had an increase of charges, let's just say that, which is not very common. Once all of that evidence was produced. And then he actually picked me up from the Ritz on the Tuesday morning.
He picked you up?
Yeah.
Why did you go with him?
Because he was threatening to kill my parents and nobody knew yet. And I hadn't told them yet. And I didn't know how. I really didn't know how. Because here you are presenting this image of, well, we're going to get married and this is long term. And, this is, and my family wanted that for me and I wanted that for myself. And here we are with what should be the idyllic relationship and should be okay because, the dog and the kid and
You're still making excuses for him.
And you're making excuses for yourself too. They have you so out of your own body and so fearful that as long as I'm alive, if I can make him okay, if he's okay, I'll be okay. And that's sort of that cycle that you're caught in. And I was worried about my family. And because I saw his handiwork. I lived his handiwork. I know what he's capable of. I had no reason not to believe him. And the moment where when it finally clicked, if it didn't already, it was on the Wednesday. And he tried to have sex with me forcibly when I was in that state. And that registered for me. I'm like, I'm going to die. That was the moment where I was like, oh, he's going to kill me. Okay, I get it now. I get what this is. When I wouldn't have sex with him, he went on Instagram and was like, she's hotter than you. She's hotter than you. She's hotter than you. She's hotter than you. If you don't put out right now, I will call whoever and I will go. And I said, okay, yeah, I'm going to die. This is bad. I could not. I was so numb. I can even feel it now. I was so numb. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to say to anyone. And I went to the beer store. I don't drink beer. Went to the beer store, got a 6-pack, locked myself in the movie theater room, drank like 3 of them and called my brother. Like I could not get the words out. I had to have some liquid confidence, some type of something. And my brother's a 6'8" Olympic athlete. He's like, what the are you doing? Like, why are you like, he's like, wait, where are you going? And then he's like, yeah, no, you need to get out of the house. Like, I don't and he's like, I don't know what, like, you can't come here. My girlfriend's here. Like, and he's like, you got to go somewhere. And so I picked up and I went to my friend's house, my friend's condo downtown that I knew that, someone might get really hurt if they ever tried to find me there. And that's where I crashed out. My brother had some Olympic party that weekend with my parents, and he called me up and he said, I think I need to tell mom and dad, but I need your permission. And I said, I think it's time. And my brother told them, and they left the party and immediately came and got me.
Enter the justice system.
Oh boy. It's the worst part about this whole story.
Well, that's why we need to talk about it. How did the justice system respond to what was pretty clearly an appalling situation?
In the worst possible way.
What does that mean?
That's the injustice system, Steve. It's not the justice system. It's an extension of abuse, additional trauma on top of what was already committed. And it would have been a very different situation had my ex not been let out on bail for, I don't know, dinner money the next day. And I probably would have been able to put the pieces together if I didn't have the threat and intimidation of his physical presence. That was right from the get-go.
How does a guy who did what he did to you get out for $500?
Ask Trudeau.
So the federal criminal code punishments are insufficient to start with.
It's criminal. It's lethal.
So the judge did not have any personal discretion to make it a much higher threshold?
Not by the law. It's really Bill C-75 passed 2018-19, I think. Catch and release. It's basically unless even murderers have been let out on bail for a couple $1,000. That's the state of the nation.
Okay, so but he's charged at this point.
Yep.
So presumably at some point he's got to go to court to answer charges. Did that happen?
Never.
Why not?
Jordan's rule. Circle back to their lovely Supreme Court.
Well, there's a principle behind Jordan's rule, which is that if you're going to have justice, it has to be timely. And if the state takes too long to bring these charges against you, then you got to let them go. I mean, that's the principle at stake here.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
There we go.
Yeah.
So he got out on Jordan's rule.
Yeah. The 2016 Supreme Court decision, again, as aforementioned, 18 months for provincial charges, Superior Court's 30 months. And that is a weapon that is utilized by defense counsel and a weapon that is actually utilized by the Crowns themselves, because they force you into peace bonds with people who nearly take your life in order to, they'll use Jordan and say, well, it'll time out if you don't accept this. So you either accept this and move on, or we're not going to trial at all anyways. And it's completely, I mean, I am supportive of the premise of it. I would have loved to go to trial in 2 days. I think every victim survivor would like an expeditious trial. We don't want this to carry on for years, 5 years, whatever it is. It's so taxing. And you can't fully heal until you're completely severed from the relationship with your ex.
Okay, I'm going to go back on this again, because my understanding of this is that the court made the decision it made in Jordan's case because they were not trying to pick on victims, obviously. They were trying to send a signal to provinces, to governments, that you guys are under-resourcing a system that needs more resources, therefore get your act together. So I know you're not happy with the court decision, but the court intended to lay the gauntlet down to provinces to get their you-know-what together. So who do you have more blame for ultimately? It's the provinces that are under-resourcing the justice system.
I completely,
and the feds.
100% agree with you. But there should have been a stipulation put in place that violence, they should have had the foresight. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm 100% in agreement with the premise of it. I, again, would have won an expeditious trial, but they obviously didn't put the proper legislation or the gauntlet to the provinces to actually make them do it, because they didn't do it. It all failed, all of them. And they love to point their fingers at each other, and they love to say, it's the provinces, it's the fed. It's all y'all. Sorry. It's all of you. We need an asterisk on that we need on that charter right. We need to stop prioritizing criminals' rights over victims' rights, because Canadian victims do have Canadian Victims' Bill of Rights, but there's a section in it that nullifies the entire agreement. We've gone through this with the lawyers. And we see it in the headlines. We see it in the streets. Criminals are not held to any type of account here, and they go and reoffend. And again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I do believe the Supreme Court wanted something good to come of it. Yes, we need expeditious trials, but not at the cost of justice.
Have you had any contact with the man who beat you since all of that?
He'd be very wise to never do that again.
So the answer is no.
No.
Or his kid?
I am in touch with the child's mother because he's a serial abuser. And there's a woman after me.
So he's done this to someone else?
Many people.
How do you know that?
I've seen it, the evidence.
And he manages to continue to get away with it? Do you know how?
We don't have a justice system.
Has he tried to contact you?
He would be very wise not to.
I appreciate he'd be wise not to, but that doesn't mean he hasn't tried.
No, we just settled in civil court actually last week.
And can you talk about that?
Lightly, it's I for pain and suffering and all the medical issues and loss of career opportunities. I mean, I couldn't work for an extended period of time. Having to forcibly be move out of the country. I mean, he started stalking me. It was about a month after. It was August 30th. I was at Cafe Nervosa in Yorkville, and he started circling around in his car. And I was like, yeah, he's going to come after me. And we have seen this countless times that because these very violent abusers are let out on bail, it's a hall pass in their mind, and they go and they finish the job. And there's a probability that I wouldn't be here had I stayed in Toronto and in this country. And
so you've moved to California
full time. I'm not coming back. Yeah. So it's was the best thing I could do. I was so broken when I moved there. But it gave me space and distance, and I'm very fortunate for that.
Cait, if we had a justice system and not an injustice system, play your case out. What would have, should have happened?
That night, July 31st, a female officer should have been present. There should have been that personal conversation. He should have been held in custody. I think the police did a relatively good job. They were pretty supportive. They were, this guy needs to go. The female officer, she said, it's one of the worst domestic situations I've ever seen in my entire 30 years of policing. Like, this is bad. Yeah, I know. So that should have been taken into account. The fact that he was up on the most serious offenses. He should have been held in custody.
So no bail. We'll start with no bail.
No bail.
Okay. He eventually gets a trial. In the best of all worlds, he would have got to trial. He would have defended himself against the charges. In your view, he would have been found guilty, and he would have gone away for how long?
Unequivocally, he would have been found guilty. I have videos of him beating me on video. There's no he said, she said. There's no I have the evidence, a plethora of it. And that's what's so traumatizing about this is you and I can watch it right now. And the Crown's told me, well, you have to accept a peace bond because you're up against a murder case and it's going to time out with Jordan. And it ran past the other timeline. I had 2 sets of charges and it ran past the other timeline on the other case. So, I don't know, better luck next time. You live in California, like literally. Like, and I sat down. I actually retained a defense lawyer to represent me against the Crown within the process of this. This is how crazy this is. And my lawyer looked at the Crown on Corey Langdon, looked at the Crown on the second set of charges and just said, all right, it's a public interest case. This guy's obviously very violent. There's no reason not to believe her. Then what are you hanging your hat on? She's like, we don't have time.
These charges would normally fetch what kind of sentence? What would be appropriate?
10 to 14 years. It's Canada, so probably half that. But some pretty significant jail time with the number of charges that it was. Obstruction of justice, because he told me not to let the cops in. He had assault with a weapon, count, assault, uttering death threats, and. I think the police missed a couple charges. There's a confinement aspect to this. They actually forgot the wooden rolling pin covered in my blood. They didn't take it from the crime scene because I found it the morning after, and I was like, holy, okay. So there was a couple things missed, certainly, but we should have at least had a trial. And it's one thing to be acquitted. I'm all for fairness. I'm all for equitable justice. I'm all for the scales of that. I'm all for everyone being able to prove themselves in court, 100%. But the fact that I was robbed of my right to a trial, that is, the government, the justice system, and everyone involved in this, provincial and federal, robbed something from me that I will never, ever be able to get back.
That really sticks in your craw still, doesn't it? I can tell.
Makes me angry.
Yeah. You have taken that anger and rather than, crawled under a rock, you have turned it into significant activism. It's almost as if your life has a new mission now. Talk to us about that. What have you done with that anger?
To alchemize it into something positive. Otherwise, I probably would have gone insane. It's been the journey of a lifetime, genuinely. March 26, 2024. So last March was my peace bond. And I called...
And that means what?
Peace bond, the restraining order that lasts a year and says you can't talk to her. So basically told my ex, you can't be in contact with her for a year or anyone she knows, known to be. I live in LA. It helps me, I guess, when I was in Toronto, but...
But it's expired.
Mm-hmm.
So he can now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he would be well advised not to.
Yes.
Is that... Okay, I'm going to ask a weird question here. Do you carry a gun?
Not legally in this country.
Okay, I'm going again here because maybe you do in California?
I have a weaponry in California, yes.
That you carry with you on your person?
Yeah, I actually got a really cool one from one of my girlfriends. It's called bsky Defense, and it's a beautiful pepper spray taser all built into one. And it's for these exact type of situations. And it's not legal in Canada, so no, it is not with me when I cross the border, but that is something that is in my car and my purse.
Now, Cait, you're going to forgive me. Here's the, this is the journalist in me here with it is saying, you said I'm not allowed to legally have this with me on my person in Canada, which, if I'm reading between lines, is you saying, you're goddamn right, I've got it with me right now. I'm not legally allowed to have it, but I'm not going to leave myself unprotected just because I've crossed the border. Am I on?
I don't have it with me right now, but I'm also, how I protect myself is with the media, because the one thing my ex didn't want was people to know about this. It's the one thing I remember him distinctly saying, and it didn't make sense at the time, but now it completely, they always leave little crumbs, and then it all in hindsight comes back and loops around. Two things. This is tangential, but I'll loop it back in. He said, I pay good money to be off the internet.
He does.
He said that.
Mm-hmm.
Quoting. Bizarre thing to say, but now this all adds up. And there was one time I remember he walked into the bathroom and he just says, even if I was 1,000 miles away and you got hurt, you had slipped on a banana peel, I would still be blamed for it. And I'm like, I guess so. This was about 3 weeks prior.
It's kind of a weird thing to say.
It's a super bizarre thing to say, but that, in my mind, shows you the calculation of this is intentional. He knows exactly what he's doing. He got pleasure out of hurting me. So to protect myself, the media has actually extended the only semblance of justice, and the public has extended the only semblance of justice. I'm never alone here. I'm always with someone. I never travel alone. I am always in groups and groups of people. And that is largely how I protect myself. He wouldn't do that because then people would be in a public space, because then people would know who he is. And he knows that if he messes around, he will be in the Toronto Star in 5 minutes. So And I have to thank you all for that. Really.
You can't, but you're in a situation where you cannot leave yourself vulnerable to just doing what normal people do, which is going for a walk in a park someday by yourself.
Yeah.
You don't do that anymore.
Not here. No.
Okay. More on the activist angle that you have taken now. You have been meeting with politicians federally and provincially for many months now. What has come from that?
Actually, something positive. And I'm very pleased to say that Kristen Wong-Tam, MPP for Toronto Centre, they brought me in. They were actually one of the first politicians that responded, even though I was not in their constituency. Ted Arnott was my family friend. Really?
You knew him before?
He's
the former speaker of the legislature.
Speaker, yeah. I've known him he's known me since I was in blankets, actually. Huh. So he is also my MPP for basically my entire life. And
he's west of Toronto, Wellington, Halton Hills or something like that.
Yeah. And Ted's wife knows my mom, etc. So I contacted him, and he was speaker, so he couldn't get involved, but he said, he's retired now, so I'll say it. He's like, don't worry, I'll take care of this. And so we got involved in politics right from the onset. And I didn't expect that. I said, okay, put it on the news. It just snowballed.
Okay, what did he do? Did he put you on to the Attorney General?
I mean, I watched Doug in the chambers.
This is Doug Downey, the Attorney General.
Downey, yeah. Lie in the beginning of April. I think it was April 10th or something.
Okay, just for the record, I have to say, that's Cait talking right now. That the use of the word lie is it's a hyperbolic word. So let's just, do you want to rephrase that at all?
I'll rephrase it.
Yeah.
I watched Doug pat himself on the back a little bit too much about how they've handled IPV and it's not an issue, but I have statements from his office stating that they're learning from my case and that they'll do better next time. Okay, pacify me, try to pacify me harder. But again, I have to thank the media of all stripes that have given us this platform to actually advocate in the way that we have been. And I'm very pleased to say that the Ford government, with the opposition, we're really trying to bridge the gaps here. These are nonpartisan issues. It should not matter. It does not matter. I don't care what party you're from. Let's do things that are actually going to solve this issue. So with the support of the opposition and Ishvander Rassel, our government outreach coordinator, who's very embedded in the Ford government, we've been able to actually have a seat at the table with them now. And
what does that mean?
Stakeholdership in a way that they're really listening. The Attorney General's office is working with us on some development programs. We have access to all government branches, essentially whenever we want. Ford has gone on the record and said, the justice system is broken. He stated that himself. This is terrible. You mentioned that personal story about him, going after the Home Depot, the guy at Home Depot or something. So they are aware, and I'm very pleased to say that they're willing to work with us and they understand. I think it was today. I don't even know if this is public yet, but this will air after, right? Mm-hmm. So Minister Charmaine Williams just declared IPV an endemic.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because, of course, you and your allies have been urging, and we've seen the opposition certainly ask numerous questions about this at the Ontario legislature, trying to get intimate partner violence declared as an epidemic. You haven't got there yet. They've declared it an endemic. What's the difference?
Last year, the difference is in the attitude. The difference is in the change of the party, of the Conservative Party, is that, they were denying the epidemic, denying this was an issue a year ago. And now they're saying, okay, you may be right. And at least we'll give you this little token in the language and the semantics of this. There's an acknowledgement. We had a series of testimonies at the beginning of January this year with Jess Dixon. Kristen Wong-Tam was a part of that as well. And I came up and spoke at the legislature, and so did many other survivors. And so that has been tabled into a 900-page document that is in the process of hopefully rectifying into something that is tangible and actionable steps forward to combat this issue. So massive shift in energy, attitude. I ran into Minister Williams at a gala the other week, and we talked for a bit, and the presence of the community and the presence of survivorship in this united front has actually, seemed to really put intimate partner violence and sexual assault at the forefront, and the failures of the justice system, circling back to the provincial responsibility of funding this adequately, and the crowns need to be educated. The judges need to be educated. All of these components, it's all at least at the front of everything right now.
You do know, of course, that the provinces are responsible for administering these laws that are passed by the federal government, right? These are criminal code charges we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Is this on the radar screen of the feds at the moment?
Oh boy, it would have been if we had a different result in the federal election. But I am proud to say that intimate partner violence was tabled for the first time as a campaign issue. I was on CTV for that. The Conservatives tabled something about that, and the Liberals brought something in. So that advocacy is working in that regard. April 2024, I wrote the exact same letter to Jagmeet, Justin, and Pierre. Pierre responded in 48 hours. Justin took 7 months. Jagmeet never did.
The NDP did not respond.
0. Absolute zip. So I didn't expect to have, I voted NDP in the Ontario election. I voted Conservative in the federal election.
It's not a partisan thing for you.
It's not a partisan thing for me. It has nothing to do with that. But the Conservative Party of Canada on the federal level has been nothing but supportive. Pierre, when that issue, July 31st, 2024, when I had to walk out of the Status of Women Committee meeting and told the Liberal Party to fuck off, Pierre sent staffers over from the other building. And that's when I really started to understand firsthand how much they actually cared about this issue on a personal level, and how frustrated they are with the legislation that the federal government's been pumping out for the last 10 years. And that's when I somehow arrived in this world of politics going, all right, who wants to help? And that's been the attitude. There are so many Liberal Party members on the federal level. Lisa Hefner has an incredible bill, 100% supportive of that.
The Liberal from Hamilton Mountain, I think?
Mountain, yeah, yeah. Parental alienation bill, Children Protection Act, super, super important. Again, this is nonpartisan. I will cross the aisle. I've actually asked the Conservative Party to support her bill, and they have obliged and said yes. So that's what we're trying to do here. For good pieces of legislation, it is become this matter of drop all the political nonsense, drop all your this, that, and the other thing. Larry Brock has even said on a podcast with me, the Shadow Minister of Justice, like, Cait, if Sean wants to steal all my ideas, he can have them and take the
Federal
credit.
Attorney General, Minister of Justice. Yeah.
Yeah. If Sean Fraser wants to take all my ideas, he can have them. I don't care. I'm exhausted just trying to protect people. And that's been the attitude. So it's just very interesting to be in the position now, because when I publicly endorsed Anna Roberts and publicly endorsed Sandra Kobina, and they both were successful in their campaigning, but the onslaught of abuse that I received online from staunch liberal leftists for voting Conservative as an advocate for, women's rights, which is a weird thing, kind of a weird title. I don't really particularly like it, but advocate for victims' rights and survivors' rights. That was a very bizarre, very kind of disgruntling position to be put in publicly.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There are some not very nice people on anti-social media. This just in.
Thanks for the tidbit.
Okay. I want to be careful how I ask this next question, because there are charges outstanding in a court in Ontario against an MPP There is a member of the Ontario legislature who represents Sault Ste. Marie who has been charged with assaulting his wife. Charges have not been proven in court. But it does prompt in me this question. Do you think there is added interest by the current government of Ontario in this issue because this issue has potentially visited their conservative family at the legislature?
Yes, and it's maybe less publicly, but before those charges against, was it Scott?
Chris Scott.
Yeah. Scott, before those charges were laid against him, the ball had been rolling. The proverbial ball had been rolling within the Conservative caucus. And I, again, will thank Ted for having that be an entry point. It's been in motion. I think it probably doesn't help anyone other than this cause to have your party members be charged with these offenses. And I think it's not something that we're weaponizing or utilizing to try to, create. But from my perspective, and again, it hasn't been proven in court. Who I believe, but it shows the pervasiveness of the issue. It shows that it happens anywhere to anyone. Intimate partner violence and sexual assault have no race, no social economic status. It has no particular demographic as far as age is concerned. This is a everywhere problem.
I'm going to ask you one last question, and that is, this could go one of two ways for you. This may be your new mission in life forever, that you have kind of crossed a Rubicon and you are going to be a political activist on this issue for the rest of your life. Or you may look forward to the day when the changes you want get made and you can leave all this behind and just go back to being the actor and musician that you've always wanted to be. What do you think the future portends for you on that front?
I remember when the Crown told me that and they had stayed the final set of charges. It's the hill I die on. He didn't kill me. The justices didn't quite kill me. I don't think it's not going to happen overnight. The changes made will be yes, and these are systemic issues that will need decades more worth of work, and the evolution of it will be something that I will always have a stake in and always have a hand in, because I know what it's like, and it is my mission to ensure that we can be as preventative as possible and that we can actually stop this from happening in the first place, that we can work with young boys and men who are perpetrating this violence and address it in that early onset so that it doesn't result in having mass casualties. So I'm a lifer.
Okay.
I'm a lifer, Steve.
I got you. You've made your decision. Okay.
But it's art and advocacy. And that's the beauty of it, is I get to bring entertainment, if you will, and the power of the media and the power of storytelling and narrative and authenticity, and bring that to life and be that safe space and be that conversation piece that actually results in real change.
Wish you well, and thanks for your time.